Good morning.
Good morning.
Let's all be standing, if you will. Take an opportunity as we sing this first song. Shake hands. Let somebody know that you're glad to see them that you haven't talked to this morning. Let's worship.
Are you past the point of weary? Is your burden weighing heavy? Is it all too much to carry? Let me tell you about my Jesus. Do you feel that empty feeling? 'Cause shame's done all that's stealing, and you're desperate for some healing. Oh, let me tell you about my Jesus. He makes a way where there ain't no way. Rises up from an empty grave. Ain't no sinner that he can't save. Let me tell you about my Jesus. His love is strong and his grace is free. And the good news is I know that he can do for you what he's done for me. Let me tell you about my Jesus. Let my Jesus change your life. Hallelujah, 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 amen, amen. He can wipe away the tears, broken dreams and wasting years, and tell the past to disappear. Oh, let me tell you about my Jesus, and all the wrong turns that you would, going unknew if you could, who can work it all for your good. Let me tell you about my Jesus. He makes a way where there ain't no way. Rises up from an empty grave. Ain't no sinner that he can't save. Let me tell you about my Jesus. His love is strong and his grace is free. And the good news is I know that he can do for you what he's done for me. Let me tell you about my Jesus. Let my Jesus change your life. Hallelujah, 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 amen, amen. Take my cross to Calvary, pay the price for all my guilty. Who would care that much about me? Let me tell you about my Jesus. He makes a way where there ain't no way. Rises up from an empty grave. Ain't no sinner that he can't save. Let me tell you about my Jesus. His love is strong and his grace is free. And the good news is I know that he can do for you what he's done for me. Let me tell you about my Jesus. Let my Jesus change your life. Hallelujah, 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 amen, amen. Hallelujah, 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 amen, amen, amen.
If you've been walking the same old road for miles and miles, if you've been hearing the same old voice telling the same old lies, if you're trying to fill the same old holes inside, there's a better life. There's a better life. You got pain. He's a pain taker. You feel lost. He's a way maker. You need freedom or saving. He's a prison shaking savior. You got chains. He's a chain breaker. We've all searched for the light of day in the dead of night. We've all found ourselves worn out in the same old fight. We've all run to things we know just ain't right. And there's a better life, there's a better life. You got pain, he's a pain taker. You feel lost, he's a way maker. You need freedom for saving, he's a prison shaking Savior. You got chains, he's a chain breaker. Believe it, you receive it, you can feel it. Somebody testify. You believe it, you receive it, you can feel it. Somebody testify, testify. You believe it, you receive it. You can feel it. Somebody testify. You got pain. He's a pain taker. And you feel lost. He's a way maker. Oh, you need freedom for saving. He's a prison shaking Savior. You got chains. He's a chain breaker. Chains, chain breaker. Someone with a word of testimony this morning.
Come thou fount of every blessing, tune my heart to sing thy grace. Streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. Teach me some melodious sonnet sung by flaming tongues above. Praise the mount I'm fixed upon it, mount of thy redeeming love. And here I raise my Ebenezer, and hither by thy help I come, and I hope by thy good pleasure safely to arrive at home. Jesus sought me when a stranger, wandering from the fold of God, he to rescue me from danger interposed his precious blood. And how your kindness yet pursues me, how your mercy it never fails me, till the day that death shall loose me. I will sing, oh, I will sing. Daily I'm constrained to be, and let thy goodness like a fetter bind my wandering heart to thee. Prone to wander, Lord, I feel it. Prone to leave the God I love. Here's my heart, Lord, take and seal it for thy courts above. And how your kindness yet pursues me, how your mercy it never fails me, till the day that death shall loose me. I will sing, oh, I will sing, and how your kindness yet pursues me, your mercy it never fails me, until the day that death shall loose me. I will sing, oh, I will sing, until the day that death shall loose me. I will sing, oh, I will sing. Prone to wander, Lord, I feel it. Prone to leave the God I love. Here's my heart, Lord, take and seal it for thy courts above. And here's my heart, Lord, take and seal it for thy courts above.
Okay, it's good to have Cherie with us from Pike County Outreach. So we are going to ask her to come at this time and share what's going on there.
If you don't care, I'm not going to clip this thing. I'll just hold it. My name is Sherre Kinnison. I am from Pike Outreach. Lived out here many, many years ago. Very hard when I left. It was home for 36 years. Still love Buchanan, always will. It's a beautiful town, beautiful people, and I'm glad to see some faces I haven't seen for a long time. So, who Pike Outreach is? Pike Outreach is the umbrella for the food pantry and the only homeless shelter in Pike County. As the coordinator of Bridgehaven, I also service Jackson County. Jackson County does not have a shelter. Their mayor will not allow it. They do have a homeless committee that I've been working with for 3 years, so I help house them as well, but I try to take care of Pike County first. Pike County's my love. I want to take care of my county. And yes, I call it my county. I take it very personal. I love people across the board. Doesn't matter who you are, what happened. I love people. The food pantry serves a minimum of 50 households a day. And I just wanted to give you some numbers just from July. In July alone, there were 63 seniors with minor children, grandparents raising their grandchildren. And that seems to be the trend now. Our children need a lot of prayers because I raised my youngest granddaughter for the first 5 years. And then I made a move and finally, they straightened up a little bit. So I no longer have to raise her, and I'm glad for that. I don't want to raise my grandchildren. I don't know about all of you, but I don't want to raise my grandchildren. There were 1,000 unduplicated households. There were 119 new families. So there's people coming to the food pantry that are new every day. The food pantry provides 3 meals a day for 7 days. In July alone, they served 49,617 meals. That's a lot of food and a lot of plastic bags. They are always needing Kroger and Walmart bags, always. We also have the mobile food truck, which we are affiliated with Community Action. They served 1,623 households just in July. And you don't think there's that many people in Pike County? In January of last year, I don't know this year, but in January of last year, there were over 33,000 people in Pike County. And so to reach 49,000 households, we've reached out a little bit further. We're helping Jackson, we're helping a little bit of Lucasville. As long as they only come every 7 days, that's, we can help you. As far as the shelter goes, I average 200 people a year. That doesn't sound like a whole lot compared to 33,000, but I did it for a year and a half on my own, and I finally got help. So that was a good thing. I have a director who is finding grants, which I never want to touch a grant. I've read them. I'm good. So I do not want to. I would rather feed you. I would rather house you. I'd rather crawl underneath the bridge and give you a hug than do a grant. So I don't want to do a grant. We also help Vinton County out as well. They don't have a shelter either. So that has us helping Jackson, Vinton County, which includes MacArthur, Wellston. I think there's another small town. I can't remember the name of it. So there's a lot of people that we service. But we are not just a shelter. I will not provide just a bed, shower, and meal. When I was asked to take this job, I sat in my office at Fruth Pharmacy and prayed about it and said, God, I can't do what they just do. There's more. There's too much help that's needed. So we do a lot of comprehensive case management. We help you get mental health treatment, help get your food stamps and your medical card, GEDs, driver's license, permits. We've had 2 cars donated to us in the past year. We help you do cooking classes. As dumb as it sounds, we teach you basic life skills. I had one gentleman for 2 weeks. I put him on bathrooms. He had never done chores in his life. They do chores 7 days a week there. So he thought I was punishing him, and I said, no, I want you to know that your toilet's clean when you get your apartment and your buddies come over. I want you to know how to clean that when they're gone. We teach them budgeting. We help them with resumes. I also have a little program in there, Dress for Success. If you have an interview and you show up downstairs in a tank top and a pair of shorts, you're going back upstairs and changing your clothes. Where I owned my own business for 30 years, I know what a lot of the managers and supervisors and owners are looking for. But it's amazing to me the people that don't even know to brush your teeth and take a shower every day. Some were never taught, which I would like to sometimes have a discussion with the parents, but you can't do that. So, but some are due to drugs. But as far as the homeless goes, there's a stigma that everybody is a drug addict. No, you could lose your wife. That could cause you to lose your mind. You no longer work because you don't want to go to work. You can't function. You could lose your job. You could lose your home. You could lose anything. Our jobs are not guaranteed. My job is guaranteed for 2 years until that grant ends. If we don't get another grant, I'm jobless. So it starts all over again. So to me, we are all one paycheck away from being homeless. And it's amazing the people that cannot function enough to keep their IDs, their Social Security cards and birth certificates. The mental health out here is severe. And I won't make that an excuse because there are some people who choose not to be mature adults. And those are a little tougher to work with. I'll give you an example. I had to exit a family of 5 3 days ago, and I lost 2 nights of sleep over it because their drug life is rough, but they have a 1-year-old, a 2-year-old, and a 4-year-old, and every one of them are autistic. And I had to exit the family because of the parents' actions towards the staff and myself. That is the worst part of the job. I wondered for 2 nights where the kids were at. And the church I go to, one of the girls in there, she said, you need to let it go. They belong to God. And I understand that, but I still feel responsible. So it's a lot of weight to carry, but I enjoy what I do. Our county needs so much help, so much more than a meal, so much more than a bed or a shower. They need love. They need someone to, mentor them. I've got a young man there right now. He just got out of prison 2 years. And the reason he was in prison, he's 22 years old. there was a situation with him and his father, and him and his father beat a man. My client backed off. His father did not. His father finished what he was doing. And so his father's serving 18 years in prison. My client got out in 2. And now I'm trying to retrain him to go back into society. He never finished high school. He quit, and now he's struggling to do a GED. He said, it's hard. And I told him, life's hard. It's not hard taking care of you. It's hard to, make you get up and go and make you want to do better for yourself. So if you ever cross someone that's homeless or struggling, just love them. Just love them. Sometimes they just need, hello, how are you doing? And that really goes a long way. Different ways that you can help Pike Outreach. Come to meetings. They're once a month. They are the second Thursday of every month at 6:30 at the Old Nazarene Church in Waverly. That would give you more information, get you involved. You know more about what's going on. And I'll get with Care later, and I'll get someone's email, and I can always email you things as well. If you're not, are you on our email list still? Okay. All right, I'll get you added back to that. Treat it like a mission. If you have a missionary thing that you're doing and it's overseas, Pike County has hungry people. Pike County has homeless people. And like I said, I know I harp on Pike County, but it's where we live. And to me, take care of what you've got here. Let's help make Pike County better. That's one of my dreams, is to make Pike County better. Don't know if I can ever achieve it before I die, but if it's one person at a time, that's what we get. We can always take food at the food pantry. Any non-perishable items, always. Personal hygiene items, cleaning items, of course, monetary donations, those are always, and what they do, if you make a check out to Pike Outreach, it goes into general fund, and if I need gas to mow the yard, the residents mow the yard. I don't. Then we'll buy gas with it. If we need, some light bulbs, we'll buy light bulbs with it. If we need food, we'll buy food with it. But one of the things that's been on my heart as far as how you can help Pike Outreach, especially the shelter, because it's where I work. And in 3 years, I've not had anybody come in and do it. I've asked several times, spiritual counseling. Come in and have a movie night with them. Say, hey, I love you. Let's sit down and have a movie, or watch a movie, and have a pizza, and let's just sit down and fellowship. Take them to the park. Anything. It's, and I know some of it may cost a little money, but it's not that you're handing them $20. I suggest you don't do that. I suggest, like I said, you just come in, introduce yourself. Can I pray for you, please? Is there something you need to talk about that no one else is hearing? Because they get sick of hearing me. And I know I have 2 other day shift employees. I do have blessed enough to have a night shift employee right now, 4 nights a week. But they get sick of hearing me. I'm the one. Brush your teeth, make your bed, do your chores, put your shoes on, and it's all day. Get out the door to your appointment, I have several names there other than Cherie. My favorite is the warden. But I thought about getting a shirt that said that, but I didn't want to trigger anyone because I do get prison people. I had to cut some ties with some hospitals. We are what you call an access point, and if you go into the HMIS system across the state, an access point is a shelter that, their doors are open to just about anyone. The only thing a shelter will not take is a sex offender. Nowhere in the United States will you have one of those. So I want, and I know, we've all had bad things happen to us, but they are human beings too. They have a soul too. So in the future, I would like to have housing just for sex offenders, and the ones that are watched and, monitored and things like that. But, so those are the only ones we don't take. I've been to court with people. Actually, I've got another court case with one tomorrow, and it's a case from 2 years ago. And one of my biggest things that I try to tell people on there, honesty will get you everywhere. You tell me the truth, and I'll go to the end of the earth with you. You lie to me, I can't help you, because when they come and take you, I can't stop it from happening. But like I said, the biggest thing is the spiritual counseling. They just need a friend. They just need to know that they're loved, that they're not worthless, that they're not trash, and no one cares. And I even do on my own. I still go under bridges and find people in the woods, and I take what I call blessing bags to them. I don't know what else to call them. Spring, summer, and fall, I fill them up with little Viennese sausages, crackers, bottles of water, feminine needs, socks, personal hygiene items. During the wintertime, I add socks and hats and gloves and scarves, and we do give out coats and blankets as well. So it is ongoing. And my new director, she is allowing me to use the huge garage once I get it cleaned out. It's going to take me a few days, but once I get it cleaned out, and I get to have a free store. If you come in and you need a set of dishes, come in and get them. All I want your name. That way I can just have a count. Nothing goes in the computer system, stays with me. If you need some clothing, come in and get it. There's no questions asked. I don't want to know your income. No, I don't care. Come in and get what we got. So if you have things, once I get the garage cleaned out, if you have things like that you want to donate, we can take those as well. But probably looking at spring for that. We do have some upcoming events. October 1st is March United. It starts at 10 a.m. It is at Josh Ramey's First Baptist Church, 303 3rd Street is his address. On the 15th of October, New Covenant is having an event in Canal Park, and everything goes to Pike Outreach. Whatever they sell, whatever they raise, goes to Pike Outreach. We just partnered with them about 3 months ago. October 16th, we have the Hunger Walk. It's at 2 o'clock. It's at the same 303 3rd Street at Josh Ramey's Baptist Church. On the 12th of November, which I've given you some flyers, and I'll email more if you need them, there's a craft show at Grace United. And December 1st, 2nd, and 3rd, I am also with the Pike County Community Fund, and they are ran through Bruce Colburn. And what that is, all the money they take in, the next year they divide between the nonprofits. So December 1st, 2nd, 3rd is Winter Wonderfest. We don't know what's happening with Jingle Bell Parade, so we picked it up last year. We don't know if it's going to be a go this year or not, so we have a backup plan just in case. So it's October now. That is all of October. We collect socks, as many as we can get. I don't care if they're new, used, as long as they're a pair. Please don't give me your singles, but because I end up just throwing them away. But so there's always something that you can do. But the top of the list is pray. Just pray for them. Pray that God would lead us to know how to reach more people, how to help more people. Pray that we don't get burnt out. I told my director 2 days ago, she said, I'm concerned you're going to get burnt out. I said, the only thing I'm tired of doing is telling 18-year-olds to 80-year-olds to brush your teeth, put your shoes on. I raised my kids. I'm done. So that's the only thing I'm getting a little tired of doing. So I'm working on, how I can look at that differently. Because they kind of look at you like they are stunned, like we actually have to wear shoes, that's the state law, plus it's kind of nasty if you don't. You're in a building where I did have 3 days ago, I had 18 people. I can hold legally 16. I put a 7-year-old in bed with her mama. I put a 1-year-old in a playpen, just because we ran out of space. As far as the new building goes, I don't know if we are ever going to move the shelter over there because there's a greater need. So we're probably going to move all the offices over to the new building, and that will open up 2 more rooms for beds. And the front room we want to make accessible to those in wheelchairs that are handicapped. That being said, if you're handicapped, you still got to be able to take care of yourself because we're hands off. We will not physically help you. We're not a nursing home. I will not go that route. If that would be the case, I quit. But that is basically what we do and who we are. So, do you have any questions?
How long do you keep
We are 30 to 90-day facility. That being said, the family I just had to exit, they were not even there 2 weeks. But because of their actions, constantly cussing us out, threatening us, and just all kinds of things, we could not get them to follow any rule at all. I had to go ahead and exit them. But I've had people up there for almost a year. And that was because, number one, they would not quit lying. And we kept finding out more. They had all these evictions on their names and all this other kind of stuff. And so that's why I said honesty will get you everywhere a lot quicker. But I've got some people that's been here right now a little over 3 months because they're waiting on 2 apartments to open up.
That was going to be my next
Yep.
question. So you're always trying to get them a home, an actual.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Through metropolitan.
Yep. We work with Community Action, Metropolitan. I have 14 private landlords that I keep in my phone that I won't pass out their numbers, and I work with them on this side myself. Most of them, if you have a job in Waverly and you do not have a car, I try to house you in Waverly. Make sure you have a job in Waverly. If you've got a car, I moved one on Buchanan Road a couple years ago, and they're still there. They're doing very well. And I try not to move anyone to Beaver. Nothing against Beaver. There's just nothing there. And for them to afford their rent, their utilities, the gas to come into Waverly, go to work, it's not worth it. So I work with a lot of places in Waverly, and that's another project. I actually just got introduced to a gentleman in Waverly 2 weeks ago, and his words were he's finally in the place where he can get investors, and they're trying to buy up some of these old homes and all these old buildings and rehab them and open up some more housing. That is the hard part, housing. Because of some of the reputations the homeless have left, some landlords really don't want to work with them. So, and then if I've got these 14 landlords, I've got to decide who I'm going to put you with. If you've got the reputation of not stopping drugs and continually tearing stuff up, I'm putting you with Metropolitan. You're going to go Section 8. I'm not going to put you with one of my private landlords and you destroy their home. Section 8 will watch them closer than I can. We do follow up for 1 year. If you're a resident there and you move out today, up to 1 year, as long as you still want to talk to us, we'll still help you. If you need a kitchen table, we'll find it for you. If you need transportation, we'll make calls and help you get transportation. We last year opened up the doors, I believe it was Christmas, and we opened up the doors to the community, and there was a free Christmas dinner. And it was amazing the people that showed up. People didn't even need it. They just showed up. And so it's pretty neat. This year for Thanksgiving, Waverly Community Church, they asked if they could handle Thanksgiving this year, so they will be doing that. But yeah, as far as housing goes, there's so many people that want to come to Pike County, and sometimes I ask why. I know I love our county, but why do you want to move from Columbus to Pike County? And this one gentleman a few months ago, he was in a shelter in Columbus, and he said, I've heard about your shelter. And I said, how did you hear about our shelter in Columbus? And he said, people talk. He said, people have moved out of there, and they said, you're a good woman. You will do us right. And I said, listen, I don't have a bed. And I didn't have a bed for him. And he said, I promise I'll be good. And I said, that's fine, but I don't have a bed. One problem we do have is, and I'm working very hard with the Waverly Police Department and the Sheriff's Department, they will just drop somebody off. Like, you can't do that. I don't always have a bed open. So if you ever find someone homeless, please just don't drop them off. Call and ask if we have a bed, and if they don't have the sex offender history, we can help them. But if I don't have a bed, I can't. Then I got to send them somewhere else because they can't stay on the property. But yeah, that is basically who we are and what we do. And I'm on call 24/7. So I'm on call this weekend. I told him, I said, don't call me. You'll be fine. But I left my phones out in the car. I said, I'm off duty for a couple hours. So I'm going to Buchanan, then I'm going to church. So right now I have a very good crowd. You'll get some who will. The crowd I have right now, if anyone come in here to hurt me, you're going to be hurt. They've got my back. And that feels good because, when you're out there on your own and you think nobody cares and you think, you're walking this life alone, no, you're not. God sent the very people that nobody wants across my path. I've been helping homeless people. I remember my first episode I was 7 years old. A man knocked on our door, and I gave him some of my dad's shirts. So I've been doing this for a while, I want it to grow. I want it to be bigger. I want it to be better. I want as much help as we can get for our people. Again, like I said, I know there are hungry people in Africa. I know there are hungry people in different countries, but there's hungry people here. So please consider your county. How we do it during the day, number one, depends on the weather. If it is pouring the rain, now the way it used to be ran, I can't do that. They had to go out regardless. If it was 15 degrees, you went out. If it was an ice storm, you went out. I can't do that because I treat them like I want to be treated. So the weather permitting, if it's a beautiful sunny day, even at 55 degrees, they're going somewhere. I make them go to the library, go to the park. They get mad. We tried to structure their day for them and with them. We were doing it for them. And I said, no, we're going to start doing it for them or with them because they need to learn to think on their own because they're not going to be here forever. And we finally quit making their appointments. We make them sit in office and they make their own appointments and their own rides. But they can go job hunting. They can go house hunting because sometimes I don't have a name of an empty house. I don't know who owns it. So they can go take pictures. We can, call the records office and or tax office and find out who does own it and work that way. They don't like it, but like I said, if they had their way, they would be there all day long. But they are to be up Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. Upstairs is closed off 9 to 5. Their chores have to be done by 10 a.m. at the latest, then they go. Now, if we're doing case management with them for the day, they'll stay and we'll do that. And then I'll hear the next one, well, she got to stay. Well, we're working with that person, go. But the TV is not allowed to be on until 5 p.m. If I have to work, I average 12 hours a day in the office. That does not include my home hours that I keep, that I don't count. You have to work for yourself at least 8 hours. You've got to do something. They have counseling through Valley View. I use Valley View a lot. If they have a drug history, one of the biggest things I get told is when I ask them, when was your last drug use? And they'll look at me and say, don't play me. When was your last drug use? And I'm pretty firm with them, and I have to be. And they'll tell me, well, it was a long time ago. I'm like, when's a long time ago? 3 weeks. Well, you're going to drug treatment. 3 weeks is not a long time ago. 3 years is. 3 weeks, 3 months, no. You will go to drug treatment. And so when they go to drug treatment with Recovery Council, they are there 4 days a week, usually 4 hours a day. And they come back and one of the things that has amazed me is these people are worn out all the time. Like, why are you so tired? You haven't done anything. Why are you so tired? But it's the mental health. And I know I say that a lot, but I had to learn that because in my early 20s, I had this attitude, suck it up, buttercup. I made it, so can you. That's not the case. There's people who cannot. You've been through things that I can't handle, and I've been through things that you can't handle. So it depends on the person. So I have to read the people. I watch and I listen a lot, and that's how I learn. And I learn something new every day. Every day. Is there anything else? Okay.
Cherie, thank you for coming and being with us today.
Thank you.
It used to be the county did a homeless count every year. Do they still do that?
We still do that once a year. That is in January. And we go out where we know people are at. And homelessness does not just mean that you don't have a house. You could be in a mobile home and not have electric. You're going to classify underneath that. If you've been without electric 3, 4, 5, 6 months, you're going to classify underneath that. So we count you. And when we count you, it helps us get more money. It helps Community Action get more money to help more people. I am amazed at how much it takes to care for one homeless person. My first 3 months in this job, I could not believe the bureaucracy and the red tape, and I thought, this is ridiculous. Feed them and house them. I don't care if you're black, white, gay, it doesn't matter. Feed them, house them. They need some help. Get them some mental health treatment. Pray for these people, but it's a lot.
Yes. So do you remember how many Pike County had last year? Did the count? How many homeless?
Community Action never gave us that number.
Okay.
And they are the ones who do the finding. So
Okay.
we do the reporting, we go find them, we get all that information to Community Action. They have never finished that report yet. So
Okay.
we're still working.
It's only been 10 months. They'll get it.
It might be January 2023 before we know.
Okay. Thank you again. Hey, and I'm glad I'm not the only one who's ever asked the question, why do you want to come to Pike County? Do you guys ever ask that too? I'm like, I mean, I live here. I was born here, so I love it. I wouldn't want to leave Pike County for anything, but you moved to Pike County. Why would you move to Pike County? Anyways. Okay, so if you get your Bibles, turn to Deuteronomy chapter 15. I'm not going to keep you long, but look, if I let you out early 2 weeks in a row, that is bad for my reputation, and I can't have that. So I just want to share some scripture with you. This is one of the things that I've noticed as I run in conservative circles. Being in Pike County, this is a conservative circle that I run in politically. I've learned if you're a Democrat, Republican, we tend to lean conservative. That's just the way we are. And so we kind of have certain ideas and views and philosophies that filter into our faith. And so one of them I want to address is something I've heard consistently from some friends of mine who do tend to lean pretty conservative in what they believe. And one of those is how we deal with homelessness and hunger and some of the social problems that we see in our culture today, or in our community. I mean, really, up until a couple years ago, when I first started getting involved with the Pike County Outreach Council, I didn't realize Pike County had a homeless population, because how can you be homeless? And in my mind, never registered. And so my thinking, because I was a little bit cynical, is, well, everybody's hiring. So if you want a job, you can get a job. Go get a job. Go get a house. Get a car. Stuff like that. Y'all think like that too? I mean, that's pretty normal for me. And so I didn't realize how hard it was, I guess, until my kids moved out. You know, Gabe moved out last year, last January. Lexi will be moving out. She's supposed to be out mid-September. I don't know what the holdup is there, but Lexi's going to be out soon, I think. And so when I heard how much my kids were paying for rent, I was shocked, because people are now paying to rent more than what my mortgage payment was. And I'm like, that is inconceivable to me, that someone has to come up with that amount of money to pay for a place they don't get when they're done. I mean, see, the advantage of my mortgage was when I got done with it, I owned it, and it was mine, and so no one can ever kick me off. Well, technically they can't, but they probably find a way. So that is kind of shocking to me. And so I don't know that I really got the cost of living, because I'm 53 years old, I've always had a pretty good job, and so I didn't get how hard it was maybe for some people to make it. So anyways, kind of grew up in this mentality like maybe some of you did. So there's this event in Acts chapter 5, I think, it's Acts chapter 3, where Peter and John are going to pray. They meet this crippled guy laying outside the temple, and Peter says, "Silver and gold I don't have, but what I have I give you. In the name of Jesus of Nazareth, stand up and walk." And so that kind of built this idea, reinforced by other Christians, that what hurting people really need more than anything else is Jesus. That's true, right? I mean, that's what everyone needs. Homeless people, hungry people, they need Jesus. But I think in our zeal, or maybe it's not zeal to spread the gospel, maybe it's just an indifference on our part. We see homeless people and think, well, I'm not going to give you any money because you need Jesus. And I don't know, honestly, I'm just telling you, I don't know how real that should actually be, because James says, if you see a brother in need, if you have means, what he actually says is, if you have money and you see your brother in need, he's destitute of food, and you do nothing to help him, how can the love of God be in that person? That's a valid question, right? So at some point, we as Christians got to come to grips with the fact that we're going to have needy people around us, and we cannot shut our eyes to the need. We've got to do something to change their lives. Again, they need Jesus, but really, if you're starving, and I tell you about Jesus, you're probably not going to hear much of what I say, because you're thinking about your belly. Look, I know how you people get around 11 o'clock. Let your stomach start growling. I'm kind of mentally tuned out. Come on, be honest, right? About 11 o'clock, you start tuning me out because your belly starts growling. We understand that. We get that. So look, let me help clarify how we maybe understand our responsibility to deal with needs that exist in the world today. This is Old Testament. And I know sometimes we have trouble reconciling like Old Testament with New Testament. I want to help you do that this morning. So this is what Deuteronomy 15:7 says. If there is among you a poor man of your brethren within any of the gates in the land which the Lord your God is giving you. So context, just full disclosure here, context is Canaan. So God is moving Israel into the promised land. This is Deuteronomy, so it's the second time Moses has reiterated the law for Israel, because they're getting close. Been a long time, but now they're getting close to the Jordan. They're going to cross over, and they're going to take the promised land, and they're going to live there. So God says, when you get into that land, if there's anyone of your brothers who live in the gates of the land which the Lord your God is giving you, you shall not harden your hearts, nor shut your hand off from your poor brother. Pretty clear statement, right? I mean, there's no ambiguity in that. Going to be some poor people over there. When you get in there, don't harden your heart and don't shut your hand. And so here's what I see going on in the next few verses I'm going to read, that shutting your hand is equivalent to hardening your heart. And they seem to be one and the same. If you're unwilling to give, it's because your heart is unwilling to give. If your heart is unwilling to give, then you're going to close your hand. And so we want to make sure we don't make the mistake of that. But you shall, verse 8, but you shall open your hand wide to him and willingly lend him sufficient for his need, whatever he needs. Beware lest there be a wicked thought in your heart saying. Now, listen to this. I get this. Some of you probably get this as well. So God cautions Israel and says, hey, be careful that you don't subconsciously think, hey, the seventh year, the year of release is at hand. So do you remember what the year of release was? We probably haven't talked about that a whole lot. So the Old Testament, look up at verse 2. It'll help you clarify what the year of release is. So verse 2 says, and this is, verse 1 actually, Kai, sorry about that. And at the end of every 7 years, you shall grant a release of debts. And this is the form of the release. Every creditor who has lent anything to his neighbor shall release it. And he shall not require it of his neighbor or his brother, because it is called the Lord's release. Now, think about what's going on here. So you borrow money from a friend, and when you pay the money back, they give you a time frame to repay it in. And so there was this 7th year in which God said debts are going to be released. So if you're a creditor and someone owes you money, you know what you got to do in year 7? You got to let that go. Also in the year of release, slaves could be set free, kind of released from their voluntary obligation at that point. So the year of release was really this way of kind of leveling out debt. Now, you can imagine if you've ever loaned somebody money. You ever loaned somebody money and not got it back? I have. And part of my mindset when I loan money, I never loan money that I intend to get back. That's kind of the way I do it. And so now I'm not talking like, if you need $2. I was at the vending machine at college the other day, and there were some students standing around, and one of them, they couldn't get their credit card to work or something. So I had a couple dollars in my wallet, and I'm like, here, get whatever you want. I don't care what it is. Now, I didn't go back a couple days later and say, hey, you got that $2 you owe me? I mean, I don't do that. That's kind of odd, actually. Some people would do that. I don't do that. So, look, if you say, hey, I need $20 because I'm running low on gas, whatever, I don't care. But if you say, hey, I need $2,000, we probably need to have a conversation about that. I'm not saying I won't. I'm saying I just need to think about it a little bit, because one of my ways of thinking is, if I loan this money, I don't expect to get it back. So, which is why I don't loan a lot of money, just so you know, because I don't expect to get it back. But anyways, if you're a creditor and you're lending money, you tell me this wouldn't be in the back of your mind. Okay, the year of release is 3 years away. So am I going to make you a 7-year loan knowing the year of release is? Probably not. So you can see what situation we've got here. You have people who are unwilling to lend money because they think, well, in 2.5, 3 years, I might get my money back. So God knows that, because God knows what we think in our hearts. So he says, you better be careful that you don't have this wicked thought in your heart that says, well, the year of the Lord's release is at hand, and so I'm not going to loan you money even though you have a need. Because the overarching idea is, if your brother's hungry, feed him. If he's thirsty, give him a drink. If your brother needs shelter, give him shelter. Do what you got to do, because he's your brother. And the land you're in, it ain't your land after all. It's my land. I'm giving you this land. And that was the idea that was reinforced over and over again in the promised land. It's my land, you steward it. It's my land, you let it rest every 7 years. It's my land, you give generously. My money, you give generously. My produce of the land, you give generously. That was the idea over and over again. I don't know that we get that in America. I think we really tend to be tight-fisted when it comes to the needs around us. I think we tend to be unwilling to give because we think in our hearts, am I going to get it back? Which is exactly what God says. I don't want you to do that. So don't have this wicked thought in your heart that says the year of the Lord's release is at hand. And so you don't want to give. Verse 10 says, you surely shall give to him, and your heart should not be grieved when you give it to him. Because the Lord loves what kind of giver? Cheerful giver. 2 Corinthians, Lord loves you. So don't give it saying, oh no, I hate to give this money, but I got to out of obligation. You're not giving anything at that point if you give out of obligation. And so, make sure that when you give, you're not doing it with like a broken heart. One of the things we need to talk about this fall, and I don't know when we're going to work it in, maybe this winter sometime, is our preoccupation with money and things. Because we are, in America, we are so absorbed with capitalism. All we think of is how we can get more money to buy the next big thing. And that's what we think about all the time. Now, I see that as a serious problem, because we live consumed with stuff. And we would say we don't love money, which is true. We love the things that money gets us. So when it comes to giving up money, for some people, it's like, no, I can't do that. I can't give up my money. I won't get to buy the iPhone 42 when it comes out next month. So I'm not going to give any money. I mean, that's the idea we've got. So we need to understand that and think through it. So give cheerfully. Don't be grieved in your heart when you give, Because, he goes on to say, because of this, the Lord your God will bless you in all your works and whatever you put your hand to. So I want you to read that. I'm going to read that verse again, and I want you to hear it really well. This is verse 10. You shall surely give to him, and your heart should not be grieved when you give to him, because for this thing the Lord your God will bless you in all your works and in all which you put your hand to. And look, I don't want to sound like a TV preacher here, even though technically I'm being recorded and technically I could be on TV. I don't want to sound that way, okay? I'm just saying, God says, I'll bless you and I'm going to reward you if you're not tight-fisted with what you have. If you give liberally, I'm going to bless you liberally. And if you give willingly, then you're going to be rewarded for that. I'm just telling you that's what God says. I'm not saying, well, this is what I would say. Look, if your attitude is, okay, God, I'm going to give a homeless guy $10 and I expect $100 back, well, you're probably not going to get it back. As a matter of fact, you probably ought to lose a little bit more money, because that's the wrong attitude to approach it with. But God does say, I'm going to bless you for that. And then verse 11, for the poor you will always have with you in the land. Therefore I command you, saying, you shall open your hand wide to your brother, to your poor and the needy in your land. I don't know that in American Christianity we really get this concept. There are going to be poor people with us. You know what? I've absurdly heard people say, well, there's nothing we can do about it. You're always going to have the poor with you. So poor are always going to be here. Well, that's an absurd thing to say. I mean, we don't want people to be poor. The reality is there are always going to be poor people in the world. I mean, that's just the way the world is. I'm not saying I like it. I'm just saying that's the way it is. The critical question is not, are there going to be poor people in the world? The critical question is, what am I doing about the poor people in my community? Am I really reaching out to them to share with them what they need? Which is, again, I really believe, you know, if someone's hungry or thirsty or they need a place to live, I can probably talk about Jesus all I want, and they're not going to hear any of that. That's going to be white noise in their lives. What they're going to respond to is a full belly, or shelter, or clothing, or stuff like that. When she said socks, anybody else pick up on the fact that October they collect socks? No, I agree, Kara. How many of you take socks for granted? Well, except you young kids that think you have to have a certain. I know someone. I won't say any names, but I know someone who is very particular about his or her socks. And there are certain styles maybe that, you know, they won't wear because they're just not. Look, I grew up in the 80s. You know what kind of socks we were? You ever seen a picture of someone from the late 70s, early 80s with those white tube socks that came almost up to your knees, and they were like blue, brown, blue striped? Were those not the coolest things in the world? You see basketball pictures of those guys, and I know people look at that and say, that is the ugliest thing I've ever seen. No, those were cool back in the day. But look, I'm just saying, I really don't know that I ever thought about socks my entire life, except, I'll say this, come on, you don't wear black socks with tennis shoes, right? Everybody knows that. Dress socks. No, you do. That's what's so weird, and that's how I learned it. My wife said, you can't wear those white socks with tennis shoes. I'm like, what are you talking about? I've worn athletic socks with tennis shoes my whole life. Now, you know what? I don't. Well, actually, I secretly do. Just when I'm at my house working. I don't go in public. So anyways, I'm just saying, we had this weird whole thing with socks that I don't get nowadays because it's just weird. I'm just telling you, it's weird. I don't get it. They're socks. They only got one purpose. It's keep my toes warm. Doesn't matter what they look like. So anyways, apparently socks are a big need. And who would have ever thought in a world where I take socks so for granted that there's a need for socks. And I would say, she didn't bring this up. My guess is it's probably not socks. It's probably like underwear as well. There's probably a need for that. And so, yeah, Kara, I think that's a great idea. I think we should have a sock drive, maybe an underwear drive. I don't know. But I think if there's a need, man, you know how cheap socks are? You can get, because my wife likes me to wear trendy socks. No, I like warm socks, so I can go get a 12-pack of socks for $4 and don't think twice about it. Now, granted, they come up over my calves, which freaks everybody out, but I'm good with that, okay? So I think maybe we ought to do that because, again, that's something that costs very little, and we don't think about the need because we don't know there's a need, but the reality is there is a need. And so we need to be the ones who really are reaching out to our world saying, what do you need? And I don't want to get all caught up in Brian's gone all social gospel on us. No, I'm not doing that. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying, this looks pretty clear. I mean, I read Deuteronomy 15, and it looks pretty clear to me that we have a responsibility to help our brothers. And don't make the mistake of thinking, well, my brothers, I go to church with, and they're okay. No, we're Americans. We know what our brothers and sisters are. And if you don't know who your brother and sister is, let me help you with context. Jesus wouldn't use the word brother. You know what word Jesus would use when describing who we should be helping? He would use the word neighbor. Okay? So you know who your neighbor is. Your neighbor is the person that lives around you. Your neighbor is the person you come in contact with. Your neighbor in that parable is the person that has a need and you're willing to step in and help with the need. That's your neighbor. That's who we should be helping. And I know some of you are like, hey, I didn't come here to be preached at about how I'm supposed to help out. Well, came to the wrong place then. Because I'm just telling you what the Word says. It's not my idea, not my concept. That's just what the Word says. We need to be actively involved in helping people. And then I would suggest to you that if we're really showing love, like Jesus says we ought to show love in helping people in our community, you know what? Phil talked on Wednesday night about the soil the seed gets sowed on. Maybe we could do a little bit more to help create soil that is what's the word I want to use here? Conducive to the growth of the Word by showing a little bit of love to the people around us. That's what I want to leave you with this morning. Bow your heads.